Before we start this video, I've heard that some of you in the comment section of my last Let's Talk video thought that I was changing my channel name to Eli MC, but that's not actually true. My alias that I'm going to be applying to myself as a person is Eli MC, but my channel name is always going to be Fleshker Adventures Plus. And MC doesn't stand for Minecraft in this context. It stands for McConaughey, but it's just a happy coincidence that it also sounds like Minecraft. Now, after the backstory song, you will hear my new way that I'm going to introduce myself.
Once upon a bunch of trees with 3 chimpanzees. Then Dad went out, ate some magical berries. Went all the way back home, here's a mutant of babies.
Welcome back. I'm Eli MC from Fleshker Adventures Plus, and you're watching Let's Talk Episode 6. I feel like it's getting close to Christmas, and I know that it's not even December yet, so it might not feel like Christmas is that close to you. But for me, since I am gonna be making a 3-episode Christmas series this year it's going to be stop motion animation, and it's going to be each episode is going to be about 8 to 10 minutes long. It's kind of similar thing to what I did with the Halloween series that had Quarachnid and the Eater Caps in it, but it's like a Christmas series instead. And making 3 episodes might not sound like a lot of work to you, but it is for me, and it's quite time consuming, so I'm going to start as soon as possible and start making start the Christmas series this November. But before I start making the Christmas series, I thought this was the perfect time to make a Let's Talk about some of the frozen / icy themed enemies that are found in the Pearlstone Peaks, which is a snowy mountain range near the far side field, just in case you didn't know. And since Christmas is often associated with winter, I thought it would make sense to I thought this would be a logical time to introduce some of the icy enemies. So this is the picture. This is one of the types of enemies that you'll find in icy regions, called the frostbite skeleton. And it's like a regular skeleton, except it's frozen and covered in frost and icicles. And it's found in snowy or alpine regions. And just in case you were wondering, that brown thing hanging off its head is not long brown hair. It's actually a piece of raggy fabric from when the skeleton used to be a human and when it used to wear warm clothes for traversing the snowy regions. And only scraps of the clothing are left and they're quite tattered, and that thing hanging off its head is actually a piece of an old leather jacket with a hood. Unsurprisingly, all skeletons are bald. It doesn't matter if they're snowy or regular skeletons, or if they're male or female. Next is the frozen zombie. They are like, like a regular zombie, except they also live in snowy and alpine regions, and their flesh is quite frozen and icy, and they're almost frozen solid, but not quite frozen solid, but they're partly frozen. They can still move though. And they also usually have icicles hanging from them. And they usually wear clothing, but it's often a bit tattered and has got holes in it, but it's not quite as tattered as the frostbite skeleton's armour. I mean clothes. And next, and another type of enemy in the snowy areas is the zombified yeti. It's zombified yetis are usually about 6 to 12 feet tall on average when they're adults, and they have pukey coloured green skin and blood red eyes, and their fur is often stained with blood, and their fur can often be a bit a bit dirty or sooty as well, and they almost constantly hunt the alpine regions in search of people, and they like to eat their flesh and brains, and they're very dangerous and powerful enemies, and if you ever get in a fight with them, you're likely to be screwed unless you're a powerful warrior. Next up, I'm going to be talking about the regular yeti. And unlike frostbite skeletons, frozen zombies and zombified yetis, regular yetis are not evil, and they're more so animalistic. And I know I've depicted yetis as being evil in some of my past Christmas videos, like how when Snowcream, the evil snowman, had an army of evil yetis and they seemed evil, but the only reason why they were evil was because he enslaved them and turned them into his minions, and he turned them evil. And there was also that evil zombified giant yeti in one of my videos called Abigantra, and the reason why he was evil was simply because he was zombified. Like zombified yetis, regular yetis are usually about 6 to 12 feet tall when they're adults, and sometimes their fur is a bit rugged, and might have a little bit of dirt on it, but it's pretty much never blood stained like a zombified Yeti's fur. And when the regular Yetis are babies, they're usually about when they're newborn babies, they're usually probably about 2 feet tall, or yeah, probably about sometimes 1, but usually probably about 2 feet tall. And the Yetis often live in groups in caves, and Yetis in the Pearlstone Peaks are omnivores. They eat both plants and animals. They're usually not that dangerous to humans unless you attack them or invade their territory. Then they can be quite dangerous and potentially fatal. So it's best to stay away from their territory and best not to attack them. Yetis often have bluish skin, and you couldn't really, in some of my old videos where it's got Yetis in it, you were kind of unable to see their skin because the face was completely covered in fur. And while it can be true for some Yetis they don't usually have that much fur on their face. Their body is covered almost completely in fur, except their face and their hands and their feet. They have quite sharp claw-like nails which they can use to attack creatures that live in the snow, like yaks and wolves and potentially goats and rabbits and stuff. And they usually retaliate when you attack them. I imagine that some of the people who live in the Pearlstone Peaks would have sometimes killed Yetis for their fur to make fur coats out of it, but that would have been quite harmful to the Yeti population, and it would have killed off a lot of them, so they would have became quite endangered and probably protected now. Yetis are apex predators, which means they're at the top of the food chain. And I almost forgot to tell you about some of the plant-based foods that they eat, which include, but are not limited to, berry bushes, leaves, and sometimes they either like leaves, berries, and sometimes newly grown tender shoots of trees, perhaps, if they're like a really young sapling. However, Yetis can't rely solely on plant-based foods to survive. Like I told you, they also require quite a lot of meat. And while Yetis can be dangerous, they can also be friendly. The baby yetis are often quite docile because they haven't yet been old enough to develop their full hunting instincts and territorial behaviour. And if you adopt a young baby yeti as a pet, you can feed it, and if it grows up with you thinking you're its parent, then it'll be your friend. Sometimes adult yetis can be your friend too, but it's not that common, because they usually are out for themselves, and they or their own kind, and they're never gonna see you as their parent. Yetis are closely related to apes, and they're quite ape-like, and Fleshker also being ape-like, and being a protector of apes, she usually doesn't attack apes, but the reason why she was really hostile and attacked yetis in some of my old videos is because she saw them as being some sort of ferocious monster, basically. Yetis usually live in caves in the mountains, so that they're somewhat sheltered from the snow and the cold, and they usually live in families and big groups, and while they hardly have any fur on their fingers and toes and faces, their fingers, toes and faces are adapted to tolerate the cold a bit better. So they're not as so they're not too prone to frostbite or cold. Their main bodies are kept really warm by a thick coat of fur, though. There's also creatures in snowy areas called ice golems, which are kind of icy humanoid figures made entirely out of ice, which are usually about 8 to 15 feet tall, and they're made entirely out of ice. They're not a living creature, they're construct, and they're constructed out of inanimate matter and brought to life by magic. And they can sometimes be a dangerous enemy, and they're sometimes just built by people who live in the Pearlstone Peaks as a security guard or a bodyguard to protect themselves. But ice golems are quite rare, and they're definitely a lot less common than frostbite skeletons and frozen zombies and yetis. This year's Christmas series will have yetis in it, and but it's not going to have any zombified yetis or ice golems or frozen zombies. However, the ice golems and frozen zombies and frostbite skeletons and the zombified yetis and we're probably gonna appear in some of my little short videos and some of my shorts, because I'd still like to include them and for them to make an appearance. Recently I have talked about how I promised to make a 200 subscriber special once I reached 200 subscribers, and I know that I've already reached 200 subscribers, but I'm not making the 200 subscriber special yet because I've got the Christmas stuff to make first, but then after that is when I'm going to make the 200 subscriber special. And that pretty much sums up today's video. Merry early Christmas. I'll see you next episode. P.S. Even though I've got nothing against Thanksgiving, I don't make Thanksgiving videos or series because I don't celebrate it in New Zealand, and that's where I live.